Good morning, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, could a fan favourite be set to leave WWE later this month?
A backstage update on Ric Flair's WWE status.
Got some new information on Kofi Kingston's WWE injury, and yes, it is real.
And Nikki Bella wants to join WWE Creative. I'm Adam Wilborn.
And I'm Andy Murray.
And this is the news.
Okay, let's kick things off by talking about a potential WWE departure. A breadcrumb trail for this has existed since last September. WrestleVotes put out a report saying that a certain wrestler in WWE had opted against re-signing with the company and would soon be leaving within the next few months. Immediately, the rumor mongers, the Twitter people with connections pointed towards Ricochet. Ricochet rebutted this straight away. He denied it. He posted a GIF. He was like, "Nah, I'm happy here. I'm staying, etc., etc., etc." Exactly what you would expect a professional wrestler to do in this situation. A lot of people took that at face value, but now we've got a new report from Brian Alvarez talking on Wrestling Observer Live, saying that he has heard that Ricochet has not renewed his WWE contract. He was talking about the booking of him a little bit as well. Now, this is particularly relevant at this specific moment in time because Ricochet signed with WWE in January 2018. It was reported shortly after that that the people involved in his class, the War Raiders were one of them, someone else as well, someone good who I'm just totally forgetting, 3-year deals is what these people signed at the time. That would mean that if Ricochet hasn't signed an extension between today and January 2018, his contract would expire later this month. He reported to the Performance Center in late January, so this is definitely going to be something to keep an eye on. He's not been on Raw a whole lot lately. His last Raw feud was that awful business with Retribution where he just lost every week. Cool. He's been on Main Event, on and off that show a little bit over the past few months as well. Candice LeRae was the other person in that class.
Yes.
But what do you reckon of this, Adam Wilborn? Do you reckon Ricochet is leaving WWE? Do you reckon it's a good move for him? Unpack it, baby.
Well, first of all, when I saw this and I said, oh, a 3-year deal, January 2018, he's still got it. Oh, no, wait, it's 2021. Yeah, bollocks. But I think you can just gauge this by the online reaction to this story, not just today, but like you say, back towards the end of last year, I think everyone is kind of universally in agreement that the best thing for everyone perhaps is the fact that he leaves the company and goes to someone that would appreciate the insane talents that he has. I lost count of the amount of lists we've mentioned Ricochet on where it's like, what are you doing with this talent? Did you not see what he could do in NXT and literally everywhere else on the indies? Like, obviously, he was a part of WCPW. I got to witness firsthand the jaw-dropping abilities he had. And now, just because he's not necessarily the greatest promo, Super Showdown happens, basically. It's ironic that we're talking this a year after, you know, one of his most memorable moments, hoying Brock Lesnar in the balls and then, well, getting some payback. Why not me at Super Showdown a month or so later? The only thing I would say, just to play devil's advocate, I don't believe this. I think probably, as a lot of people are saying online, Ricochet leaving and going somewhere like AEW or New Japan or wherever, anywhere he's happy, basically, is probably the best thing for him. But what I will say is WWE are probably going to throw a whole load of money at him to try and make him stay. Maybe they'll see the reaction to this story and realise what they've got on their hands. I sincerely doubt it. They've had him there for 3 years and they've not realised ever since he left NXT what they've got. And the only other thing is obviously his other half, Kacy Catanzaro, who's in NXT and, you know, potentially is in line for a bit of a push with things moving around and maybe Rhea Ripley moving to Raw or SmackDown. That opens up spots and what have you, and I really enjoy that tag team with her and Kaden Carter, and maybe Kacy Catanzaro was in line for some big spots at the Royal Rumble because she's the female Kofi Kingston when it comes to the wacky non-elimination spots. But you sense it's probably best for everyone if he goes, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of factors to take into consideration here. I think online we're often guilty of going, hey, he's not being used well in WWE, so of course he's going to leave. But as you point out, there are lots of other things, monetary reasons, reasons like you've just stated with Kacy Catanzaro. Although the thing at the moment, I would say, is that say he went to AEW, well, they're based in Florida as well. It'd be relatively easy. He wouldn't be too separated. Also, when things go back to normal, whatever normal means, once this is all over, no company, if presumably, is going to have the same crazy touring schedule as WWE. So he'd have more opportunities for trips home and everything else. Just to kind of summarise, I think Ricochet is a phenomenal professional wrestler. He's not a great promo. He's not great at projecting a character. He doesn't tick a lot of the boxes that Vince McMahon wants for people he's going to feature on his show in terms of the skill set and stuff. That's a shame. I do think that Vince McMahon's vision of who to push is outdated and should be adapted, but perhaps it's best for everyone, like you say, that Ricochet moves on and finds a company where maybe he's going to be more creatively fulfilled, or maybe he wants to stay. We'll find out very soon.
In summary, aside from his time in NXT, it is an indictment of WWE. The biggest wrestling company on the planet that they can't hide the negatives and accentuate pretty bloody big positives with him.
Yeah.
But best of luck, whatever he decides to do. Speaking of WWE performers and what their situation is like, a backstage update has come out on Wrestling Observer Radio from Dave Meltzer regarding Ric Flair. He is a full-time WWE performer for now. 71-year-old Ric Flair. Yeah, he's going to be working there full-time. Obviously, just recently involved in a storyline with his daughter, Charlotte, and Lacey Evans, who is 41 years younger than him. She seemingly seduced him over the past couple of weeks on Monday Night Raw, and he's been costing his daughter matches and what have you. Worrying this, like, not just in terms of like, oh, you're still using Ric Flair for storylines, but more so, Andy, still an ongoing global bastard going on, and Ric Flair is someone I worry about on a daily basis.
Yeah, a 71-year-old man with a history of health problems. His wife, Wendy Barlow, battled the virus last year, self-isolated in their home. Fortunately, Rick was able to avoid it. All I'll say on this is that I hope WWE's protocols and guidelines with regards to the ongoing global bastard are tighter than has been reported.
Yeah, and yeah, storyline with Lacey Evans is crap, isn't it?
It's very bad, and I don't want to see it ever again, or I will be sick in my bin.
Yes, speaking of COVID, very quickly, before I forget, get well soon to Michael Hamflet. Please send him good vibes, all your well wishes online on Twitter, at Michael Hamflet on Twitter. One of our own, who unfortunately has revealed he's contracted coronavirus. Get well soon, mate. We're all rooting for you. And yeah, everyone else, just stay safe, please.
Yeah, wear a mask, socially distance, follow the guidelines, and think about other people, not just yourself. Get well soon, Michael Hamflet. Speaking of getting well soon, what a transition. Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston, it was reported on Raw that he'd suffered from a broken jaw. This left Xavier Woods alone to face T-Bar. He lost, Retribution interfered. That would seem like a pretty easy storyline. Well, I lost because my buddy's not here. And when WWE say someone is injured, you always take it with a pinch of Vince because they love to work injuries into storylines, and understandably so. It's pro wrestling. That's what you do. However, a new report from PW insider Mike Johnson reveals that the Kofi Kingston injury is indeed legit. It's real. He has an undisclosed jaw problem. We don't know if it's actually broken or not, but there is a problem there. He's going to be out of action for an undisclosed amount of time. Here's to a speedy recovery. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, one of the greatest tag teams of all time, surefire Hall of Famers. Hate to have them off TV for any length of time, but I just hope Kofi's back soon.
Yeah, exactly. Get well soon, Kof. And here's an idea. Whilst Big E's on SmackDown and Kofi Kingston is injured, maybe a bit of a singles push for Xavier Woods. Why not think about that, WWE Creative? And speaking of WWE Creative, Nikki Bella wants to join the creative team. This was revealed by her on Ashley Graham's Pretty Big Deal podcast, one of the best podcasts out there that isn't ours, WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from. She said, I would love, there's times that, because Bree's husband, Daniel Bryan, is a part of the creative team and works a lot with Vince McMahon on creative stuff, and I've always thought in the back of my head, like, I would really like to do that for the women, because I've lived it as a WWE superstar, but also I'm a fan. So it's like, I feel like I know what the people want, and then I know how to get the best out of each woman, because I know them, so it would be a lot of fun to be on creative. Of course, we last saw Nikki Bella back in February of last year when they're all going, hey, who's excited for the Hall of Fame? And then the ongoing global blast just ruined everything. That's still sort of ongoing in terms of the delay for the Hall of Fame induction stuff. But yeah, it seems to make sense, this, Andy. A wise head, someone who's lived the experience, who could actually add some, genuine kudos to the WWE creative team, which gets a lot of a battering, quite rightly, a lot of the time, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of flack online for this, and I don't really understand why, because I guess it's because it's a Bella twin, right? And a lot of people straight away go, Bella's sick. But like Nikki Bella's a really great example of someone who came into professional wrestling with no real wrestling skills, but worked really, really hard and became a very credible performer towards the end. Nikki's improvement from start to finish was excellent, and that's something that I think would bode well for a role like this. Look, at the end of the day, we've no idea how someone is going to do in a role like this until we see them there, until we know. You don't know anything about her creative wrestling mind, right? You viewers, myself, I don't know anything about her creative wrestling mind. Adam Wilborn doesn't. No one knows a single thing about how she would fare in this kind of role. So stop being grumps online. Give Nikki a chance. I think she's pretty awesome.
Exactly. And if it was me, I'd use her, in some sort of consultant role. I'm not saying she has to write storylines from beginning to end, but it'd be nice to have someone there who's, like she said, lived that experience, who when they say, oh, we've got this plan and Shayna Baszler's basically going to bite Becky Lynch on the neck, that's going to be good for a storyline, and she'd be like, nah, that's stupid. If that was me, I wouldn't want to do that, and why would that make sense for my character or anything like that? That's how I'd use her personally. But yeah, like you say, Andy, give her a chance, and considering what comes out of WWE Creative a lot of the time, can't get a lot worse, can it?
Exactly.
Let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE. Of course, if you want to get in touch with us, Ben D. Kenobi kicks us off today, saying, since a chunk of the WWE roster of video game or anime nerds, would it feel right having a WWE B-level pay-per-view themed after Up, Up, Down, Down, like Halloween Havoc, where they can go full geek? Would be interesting.
Yeah, why the hell not, man? Why the hell not? The crossover between like gaming and anime and wrestling fans is very high. We've seen AEW do something like similar when they had their CEO collaboration. It was the first Fyter Fest, wasn't it? Where they had that Jabali fella wrestling Michael Nakazawa. That was something. But yes, I do think it makes a whole lot of sense. Maybe wait until things kind of recover a little bit and they can tie it in with a convention. So there's a big fan base there already. Crossover again. I think it's a good idea, and I don't see why they wouldn't do that.
Join us this Sunday for WWE Frogger.
Jesus Christ. Paperboy live on pay-per-view. Jesus, Fenton. I love it.
Second question today comes from Matt Rains. He says it's Wednesday Legends. You know what that means. Who are some surprise entrants you'd want to see in the Rumble this year, or should they avoid them due to a lack of a huge pap? Also, he says, get well soon, Hamlet. Thanks for that, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got an article going up on this next week on surprise entries in the Royal Rumble, so look out for that on my Twitter feed and on whatculture.com. Interesting question with regards to, surprise entrants. I think they will still do them. I don't think it'll resonate as strongly, but I do think they'll do them. I mentioned Booker T the other day. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Guy's in great shape. Love to see Rhea Ripley debut on come back, I guess, technically to the main roster in this. And you know what? I'd love to see Brock Lesnar in it as well, because I love Brock Lesnar, and I'd also quite like to see the internet's reaction when he throws out a few of their favourite wrestlers. That can be quite funny. So yeah, those would be my picks.
That's great shouts. Yeah, I can understand saying maybe just, why bother surprise entrants, but God, we need stuff like that, don't we? I need that hit of like dopamine when, Edge's theme hits or whatever. I don't think Edge will probably be back this year. Maybe not, who knows. I've said it, I'm just going to keep saying it and will it into existence.
Here he goes.
Wade Barrett, he's right there. He could be on the commentary table if you want to use him, and he can do the whole stepping from behind there. Scotty Too Hotty and Molly Holly. Again, copy-paste from whenever anyone asks me this question. Molly Holly just for Phil Chambers' reaction, and Scotty Too Hotty because he should, why isn't he being used more? And it's one of the best entrance themes ever. I loved it when I was young. I was dancing around to it. But who knows? Let us know your picks for surprise entrants in the comment section. And we'll move on to the final question today, which comes from, apologies for butchering this, Highfish, either DID or Highfish Did, who says, morning, gents. I hope you're both well. I'm a keen fan of AEW Dark. Out of the unsigned talent that are currently working at present, who would you sign? Now, I'll hold my hands up here. The only bits of AEW Dark I've seen are small clips, bits of like Ben Carter, and then Taz singing to Jungle Boy's new theme. Andy, you watch it week in, week out. It's about 4 hours long. There's a million matches on there. Who do we need to watch out for?
It's longer than Raw sometimes if you remove the commercials from Raw. It's crazy. But yes, there's some good unsigned talent on there. The thing about this unsigned talent, though, is that a lot of these wrestlers have secretly been signed by AEW. They just haven't been announced yet. So if you see names that are on there every single week, or if you see people suddenly starting to pick up victories, as Bear Country did last night, as Danny Limelight did last week, it's a good sign that they're in the system. Those two people, three people, Bear Country's a tag team, would be near the top of the list. If Sean Dean doesn't have a contract yet, I would absolutely give him one. He's tremendous. Lee Johnson is part of the Nightmare family now, so he's almost certainly in the system. But yeah, there's some good wrestlers on AEW Dark. They've used it to try people out. I think it's been a really good system and a really good way for them to give work to you know, out-of-pocket independent wrestlers at a time of great need. So yeah, Danny Limelight's #1 foe. He's such a good prick. He's great.
Was there some wrestling pandas or something on there the other week you were telling me about?
Panda Express, yes. Ultimo Panda and, I don't know, El Hijo del Panda or something. That was something else. Yeah.
Right, let's move on to today's and finally. And a lovely message I saw this morning on Twitter from JTG today. Well, we're just going to say for today's and finally, and for Andy's H. They both stand for Happy Birthday, Shad Gaspard. He would have been 40 years old today. One of the lowest moments of last year for all of us here at WhatCulture. One of the nicest wrestlers we ever met. The outpouring of love and support, and you know, the donations that went to his family, and everything that we saw last year was just wonderful to see. But yeah, gone far too soon, and our thoughts are with the Gaspard family, friends, people like JTG, and everyone who's feeling it today, Andy.
Yeah, horrible, gutting situation last year. The nature of his passing as well, you know, swimming in the ocean with his kid. Shad Gaspard's a hero. Rest in peace. Happy birthday. He's a guy who will never be forgotten by the wrestling community as a whole.
As JTG says himself on his Twitter post, crime time for life. Let us know your thoughts on that and all today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. Myself and Michael Sidgwick sitting down to preview the Wednesday Night War a little bit later on today. And you can let us know your thoughts on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE. Watch there, follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at
Andy H. Murray.
You can follow me on Twitter at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. And don't forget to send you good vibes to Michael Hamflett at Michael Hamflett. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.